Hello and welcome along then to another big match, a build-up show, and this episode is sponsored by OneFootball, the app that brings you all the latest news, stats and live scores all in one place. If you haven't already, do make sure you check it out, download it to be notified and kept up to date. Check it out, the link is in the description. So it's Easter weekend then, Bank Holiday Friday, Bank Holiday Monday, and it is a long weekend for most that's heading north to Newcastle this weekend as Saints look to take another step towards our safety at St James's Park. An evening kick-off courtesy of BT Sport then in the UK, but still a relative early start for most that's driving up and back on the day, facing a 12-hour round trip, but hopefully it should all be worth it this time. Surely it cannot get any worse than what we witnessed last year. Anyway, coming up on this weekend's match build-up show, we take a look back at the Wolves win and contemplate what a brilliant job Ralph Hasenhuttl has already done so far. And as for the opposition, I chat to Newcastle Fans TV to find out if they think they're safe and the reasons behind their influential home form recently.
To be honest, I'm looking at the remaining fixtures. Not only that, the way that Cardiff and even Brighton, to be honest, are performing, I'm not overly concerned because I just don't see them picking up enough points to worry us. Even in the position we're currently in, I think a couple more points and we're pretty much over the line, to be honest with you. But it'd be nice, for us to continue this rich vein of form and see out the season strong.
We're safe now, not mathematically, but they're not going to win 4 games. And it's nice just to go into the game this weekend, not having any pressure, not having to look at Cardiff's result. I know you will probably still do that for maybe a game or two, but it's actually nice to go in and, I wouldn't say take the foot off the gas, because you don't want the season to fizzle out. You want to go and end on a high, so hope we can do that.
As usual now then, if you're watching on YouTube, the episode is available to download if you're clicking the card above my head, or on most other audio platforms are available in the description below. Now, it was great to see some of the comments last week to tell me where you are watching or listening around the world, so do let us know where you're joining us again in the comments. But for those closer to home, do stay tuned for your bite-size away guide and your travel advice to some extent anyway. But less of that for now and more of this. Time now then to kick off our Newcastle United versus Southampton big match build-up show. So welcome along then to this first half of this Newcastle United big match build-up show. Joining me on the line once again, you could say this time, the face of the season ticket promotions on Facebook and Twitter, Dan Jarvis. I mean, did you actually get an extra discount for your face on these posters?
Unfortunately not. I wish that was the case. If anything, they probably charge me more because my face is now everywhere. But no, same rate. But as long as the boys continue to deliver as they have been in recent weeks, I can't complain.
I mean, whilst we're still on the subject of season tickets, we've seen the prices released last week. £40 discount off there. Some people's seats in the wings and behind the goals. I know you sit in the north, I sit in the Itchen corner. So we'll see £40. I wish it was 40% off. Crikey, that'd be enough. Yeah. But they have actually introduced a $3.99 Itchen South season ticket. So what do you think the discounts and the prices are fair?
Obviously, as you just said, the Itchen South one is good. It's encouraging people, maybe people that haven't been able to afford it previously, maybe get some new fans along to try it out. I think it's relatively fair. I think they're probably counting on fans at the moment to be obviously happy with the way that things have been in recent weeks, the upturn in fortunes. And obviously hoping that they're going to renew off the back of that. I think if things had continued on the way they were under Hughes, they probably would have had to consider a lot further discount really because of the way things were going. But I think people will now pay it, and I certainly will probably stick. Well, I will definitely stay where I am because I love the people that surround me. I love the atmosphere, and I'm happy to continue to pay it just to be in amongst the hardcore, the heart and soul of the club, and yeah, just get behind the boys, really.
You know, we've also seen the introduction of the 18 to 25 young persons category as well. I don't quite fit in that category anymore. I mean, what about you?
No, likewise. Unfortunately, that day's gone. 28. So it's all pretty grim from here. But no, it's one of those things. But it's good. I know that if I was that age, I'd obviously appreciate it. It's a shame it wasn't around when I was that age, but it's good that the club are looking, other ways that they can try and make football, and particularly watching Saints, more affordable and, open to people that might not have been able to get there previous seasons. And
also reasons to be cheerful the last couple of weeks. And let's start on the recent result of the weekend, 3-1 against Wolves. I suppose if we start from the top in that game, an early goal from Nathan Redmond after 2 minutes, and I suppose Bolly equalises after about 10-15 minutes, but we reply almost immediately again. Nathan Redmond scores his second.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. I think, at the start of the season, things have been different after conceding that equaliser, especially with a team like Wolves that are going to, boss possession against a lot of teams because they have got so much quality in their team. But we didn't. Instead of, buckling, we did the opposite and we struck straight away and retook the lead, and that was massive. I think the game plan was pretty obvious from the start for Saints, that they were happy to afford Wolves the majority of possession, and obviously gone with a lot of pace up front and to hope to catch them, and that's what we did. Players like Sims, for example, Redmond, full of pace, brimming with confidence, with Hasenhuttl now in charge, and then obviously. You've got Danny Ings as well. I heard a few people sort of saying that he was absent in that game, but I thought he was phenomenal in what he did. The way that he reads the game, he's able to drop deep. He's more than just a poacher. He's got a brilliant understanding of the game, and you could see for his assist, the vision for him to pick out the run, pay a pinpoint pass was just excellent, and he's vital. And just hope that we can make sure that he's fit, because he could be a key figure for the club.
I mean, this is the thing as well. BBC actually voted him as Match of the Day's man of the match. But with his sort of impeccable runs and his brilliant through balls for Sims and Redmond for a couple of chances. Unfortunate for Sims, he didn't quite put it away. But I suppose without the programme actually highlighting it, his performance and his influence almost went unnoticed.
Yeah, exactly. As I say, so Wolves, they had 70% possession, I think it was at the end. And therefore, I think a lot of the performances went unnoticed. But in all the little things that he did do, he did to maximum effect, and it told in the end, especially obviously with the scoreline.
And obviously Wolves, they came down to town, still wounded off their FA Cup result. Defeat in the semi-final at Wembley, last weekend. But I suppose at 2-1, there was still sort of nerves jingling amongst the fan base, but as soon as we put that third one out, it really put the game to bed.
Yeah, that's exactly that seemed to seal the result. We were quite comfortable again, although Wolves had the majority of the play. I thought they looked quite toothless up front, but not only that, I think Saints look so much more solid at the back now. With since Ralph has been in that managerial hot seat, I think. Well, Bednarek is an outstanding player. The way that he reads the game, he's constantly anticipating every ball that's coming his way. And I think another one who's relatively unsung is Yannick Vestergaard. Obviously, when Hughes was in charge, he barely got a look in. But since Hasenhuttl's come in, he's regained his place. Maybe it was a bit of a period of adaptation, as obviously first season in the Premier League from coming across from Mönchengladbach in the Bundesliga. But now he seems, just such a towering presence back there. And then obviously you could go on and say, I think Bertrand, the experience he brings, now he's back from injury, back in the team. And then you've got Valerie also, I thought was brilliant. Constantly every time there was trouble coming down that wing of his, he was up to the test and stopped everything coming across our goal. And it was really, really a sure performance from a young player.
I mean, those players, some of them you've listed off there, we almost thought we knew they had, mistakes in them, and Vestergaard was prone to that in Ralph's sort of first game at Cardiff. But since then, we haven't seen hardly any mistakes. And two players I want to highlight as well on Saturday, two players that were in the starting lineup against Liverpool, but they came on, were introduced, made their impression as well. And I mean, let's mention Shane Long. Once again on the score sheet, his second goal in as many matches, and it comes like from an audacious sort of overhead attempt from Mayishu, and he falls to Long to just divert it home.
Yeah, exactly. Shane Long, he gets a lot of stick, and I guess when you're a striker, you're going to be judged on your goal scoring record. But I can't help but like him as a footballer. I was saying to Dad just the other day, as an all-around footballer, his work rate is second to none. He is a very talented lad. Obviously, he's got 2 and 2. I mean, you look at the rest of the strikers at Saints. That's quite the record. Obviously, Austin was in the team, didn't score. Ings has got a good record, but obviously his fitness is problematic. But yeah, going back to what you just said with the substitutions, Hasenhuttl, his understanding of the game, he's always got a plan B, and he makes the right decisions at the key times. When we had the lead, but Wolves, were bossing proceedings, although not looking particularly threatening. But to thwart that, obviously Hasenhuttl, I thought, made a great decision putting Romeo on just to shore it up, just to make sure we sealed the win, and it worked.
I mean, we've mentioned the influence that he's had on the other players just a moment ago, but what do you think Ralph Hasenhuttl has actually said to Shane, this season since he's been here? We go on about when he last scored this, that and the other, but here's a question. When was the last time he scored in back-to-back games? And dare we dream about a third? It's never been done, surely.
No, I mean, the way that he's looking at the moment, you wouldn't bet against him. He looks hungry, and I think, in answer to your question there, I think he's just said, probably before Ralph came in, the writing was lightly on the wall for Shane Long and his, career at Saints. But I think he just said, he obviously believes in Long. He sees what he does on the training ground. And I think, he's told him, go out there, show us what you can do and what we all know you can do. And, it's paying dividends. He's working his socks off. He's coming on, with 20, 25 minutes left, running defences ragged as he always does. And also, he's getting the reward of the goals as well.
So do you know this is the statistic then? When was the last time he scored in back-to-back games?
Oh, blimey. You've put me on the spot there. Blimey.
Well, if you don't know, then I'll leave it up to the viewers to find out at the end of the show, and I'll tell you off air in a moment as well. But I mean, the statistic as well under Ralph is 8 wins in 18 games. We had 8 wins in 52 games under Mark Hughes and Pellegrino.
Yeah, I mean that says it all, and you can't argue with the results. I think there's quite a few people sceptical about the appointment, but at the end of the day, it's a results-based business, and to come in with exactly the same squad that previous managers haven't been able to, get maximum effort rewards from for whatever reason. It's just testament to him and his footballing brain. And if we obviously, I think now, I don't want to tempt fate, always be somewhat cautious as a Saints fan. But if we do stay up, which I think is pretty likely now, get a full pre-season in with him at the helm. Let him, get his ideas across, proper mould the team into his shape, and get some, players across that he's familiar with. I think we can really be looking to push on next season and go. Well, be looking at the top half of the season table rather for sure.
And let this love affair continue for a long time, we hope. But obviously, it is Newcastle at the weekend, the longest trip of the season as well. It's been moved for Saturday TV, so perhaps. Even saying that, we was taking a sellout support once again to Newcastle to let length and breadth for the country as well. But, we've also got to look at the results elsewhere at the weekend. Cardiff lost at Burnley. Brighton get hammered by Bournemouth. We're doing our jobs. We're now 8 points from the drop. And how many more do you think we need to guarantee safety? And, what would be your ultimate sort of best outcome at the weekend?
I mean, I think, to be honest now, it's... A draw, I think, would be a really good result. Newcastle would be buoyant, as will we be, of course, but Newcastle had a really good result up at Leicester on Friday night. So their tails will be up, they'll be at home, obviously want to impress in front of their raucous fan base everyone knows about. But yeah, I think if we can get, any result up there, to be honest, I'm looking at the remaining fixtures, not only that, the way that Cardiff and even Brighton, to be honest, are performing, I'm not overly concerned, because I just don't see them picking up enough points to worry us, even even in the position we're currently in, I think a couple more points and we're pretty much over the line, to be honest with you. But it'd be nice, for us to continue this rich vein of form and see out the season strong and manage to get, maybe a point or maybe even the 3, who knows. But yeah, a draw or a win would be obviously fantastic if we can manage that.
Well, let's hope it's certainly a much improved performance, like it was, well, I suppose better than it was last season. That was the straw that broke the camel's back against Pellegrino. But Ralph has set a target of 40 points. I think it's very much doable now. Yeah,
I don't see why not. When you look at the remaining fixtures, there are some tough ones. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, we've got Newcastle on Saturday, and then on the Tuesday night we've got the rearranged fixture against Watford. But then, have they got eyes on the cup final now? You hope. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be looking to get something there. I think we've got a good chance of where we're playing at the moment. And then obviously we've got the home games against Bournemouth. I fancy our chances against them. Obviously they've gone and picked up that massive win at Brighton, but Brighton are just free falling really at the moment. I think they're fortunate that Cardiff are probably not quite up to the test of staying up. But otherwise, I think Brighton could be really in trouble. But just carry on the way we are, and I think we'll be quite happy to see out a season that started off so poorly and just see it end in a positive manner and give us some hope going into next campaign.
All right, good stuff. Okay, mate, tell everybody where we can find you over on Twitter and sign us off for a score prediction.
Yeah, so my Twitter handle, so it's at Dan Jarvis, SFC91. And score prediction, I'll go cautious this time. I'll go for a 1-1.
All right, I think I'll take that too. Dan, good to speak to you, mate. I want to see you soon.
Cheers, mate. You too. Take care.
Thank you very much then to Dan Jarvis once again, and do head over to Twitter, see what he's up to, give him a little follow. And did you guess the Shane Long statistic? Now, last time Long scored in back-to-back Premier League games, it was in April and May of 2016 against Villa and Man City on the charge for Europa League. Now, it was a prolific season by his standards, but who knows the extent of how many more he can score under Ralph Hasenhuttl, a man transformed. Now then, for your travel advice, and it is an early start for those that are heading out from Southampton, going up and back on the day. Most of the coaches are leaving around 7:30 in the morning. So I do suggest leaving around that time if you want to get to the ground on time for around lunchtime-ish, or even sort of mid-afternoon if you like. Alternatively, I do imagine a lot of you have already booked up hotels and B&Bs for the long weekend, and there are plenty of bars and pubs to pick up. Now, for match day, there are no specific away allocated pubs, and that's simply down to the sheer amount of pubs that Newcastle have to offer. Now, there are dozens, and I don't mean that by any exaggeration, there are dozens of pubs within a 5-minute walk of St James's Park. But we do know that the Strawberry pub, basically in the shadow of St James's, is home only. So that one is to be avoided, I suppose, if you are wearing colours. Anyway, there are maybe one or two recommended ones that Nick has written about in the rough guide to Newcastle for Saturday. Now, an away day wouldn't be complete without a Wetherspoons breakfast or a Wetherspoons, cheap lunch or whatever you fancy, or cheap beer. And the Union Rooms is opposite the train station for that one. Or you may want to head to the Percy Arms, which is along Strawberry Place. So there you go, plenty to ponder for your pubs. Now, do let us know where you're watching the game at the weekend. Do let us know where you're watching around the world, and tell us your score predictions. Now, a quick shout out to the USA Saints and their first meetup in New York City, the Big Apple, at the Football Factory at Legends from 10 o'clock local time. So if you're in and around the Big Apple or surrounding areas, or if you can make it across North America, then get on down to West 33rd Street for the meetup. Anyway, now, time then to speak to our opposition, find out how Newcastle fans feel ahead of kickoff. Will they be complacent, and are they already sure of their safety? So welcome along then to our second half of this Newcastle United big match build-up show, and the end of the season is finally upon the horizon. So joining us from the other end of the UK, our longest trip of the season, Lee, the host of Newcastle Fans TV. Good to speak to you again. How are you, mate?
Much more happier now. Earlier on the season when we were down there, when you spoke to Johnny, it was a bit doom and gloom. Both sides are almost safe now, so yeah, happier days now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose we've got a game in hand, but 4 games left for the two. And, a win on Saturday, hopefully it isn't against us, but it basically guarantees your safety. And as long as, of course, Cardiff lose on Sunday and Tuesday as well, they've got to play. But I suppose summarise the season as a whole. You've teased it there just a moment ago, though.
We had a difficult start, and we were playing a lot of the big boys at the start of the season. We were second bottom for a long, long time. And then I think when injuries were forced on Rafa Benitez, he came and he found this wing-back system. Sean Longstaff was massively heavily influential from the youth setup. He just come out from nowhere, and we've stuck to that formation. Results starting to improve. Miguel Miron signing was massive for us. I think he can still get better, but the front three with Perez, Rondon, Almiron gives us another dimension going forward. We've got a lot more pace, so when Rondon holds the ball up. So we've got a few more options as well. The improvement of Isaac Hayden in centre midfield as well. He went out the club, but he's been sensational. So much more happy at times, but it's always off the field stuff if Newcastle will dominate over the summer, Freddie.
Of course it is. Even in your profile sort of there on Skype, still Mike Ashley out, but I suppose the results on the pitch have almost sort of diverted the attention away from that recently, hasn't it?
It's actually been quite refreshing to talk about football and football only on the pitch and see Newcastle steadily improve results, quite similar to you have recently as well, where you're enjoying the results, you're looking forward to games, you're seeing goals, you're seeing a bit more excitement, and that's down to one man. That's Miguel Miron coming in. He's just totally changed the way we play, and we can go into a game like, for example, this weekend, not having to worry this time also about relegation, because we're not expecting Cardiff to win 4 games. We're safe now, not mathematically, but they're not going to win 4 games. And it's nice just to go into the game this weekend, not having any pressure, not having to look at Cardiff's result. I know you will probably still do that for maybe a game or two, but it's actually nice to go in and, I wouldn't say take the foot off the gas, because you don't want the season to fizzle out. You want to go and end on a high, so hopefully we can do that.
Yeah, and there will be big interest, of course, on Tuesday night, Brighton v Cardiff, and Cardiff had to play on Sunday after our game on Saturday. And should Cardiff lose it, I think that pretty much guarantees our safety as well. But it's going to be almost a huge gap for them to climb. But I suppose up until a few weeks ago, your points return and your goals scored for and against it was pretty much identical like it was last season.
You've picked up on that, haven't you? Yeah, it was quite heavily documented across social media that Newcastle had the exact goals for, goals against, goal difference, win-lose ratio. It was strange, but one aspect, but it's almost the same identical squad to last year, bar 1 or 2 coming in. Yes, Almiron's a big one, of course, and a couple of bargain buys like Fabian Schär and so on. But it was a strange one. But when we all looked at that, but because last year we were higher up in the league with the same kind of points, so I think this time around what you found in the Premier League is that the lower end, just outside the relegation zone, have got more points than what last year's did. So, you're probably talking, we're on 38 and we're still not mathematically safe. This time last year we were mid-table. It goes to show you.
It's, swings and roundabouts, I suppose. But I mean, this time last year, we were fearing for our safety. It was only until sort of next weekend, this time last year, that we beat Bournemouth, and that gave us the momentum. We went on to beat, Huddersfield. Not Huddersfield, we had them in the last game of the season, but we'll go on to beat, get a point at Everton, and then final game of the season, we're safe, but we lose it. But, you actually went to finish 10th last season, sort of strangely. But it was, like last season, you really start to kick on when it's mattered. And I suppose what do you put that down to, really?
I think it was last year quite similar. We had Dubravka come in, and that was a bit of we started to then, I think the Man United game, his debut, he had a worldie. Quite similar again this year, we've had Almiron. And it's strange that one player can change the whole dimension of a team. And of course, off the field subjects, Newcastle with Ashley and Benitez transfers, it goes on and on and on. That's all that's going to dominate the summer. But it's amazing how one key player, not just an average player, just one key player can change the whole of the team. And I think that's what it was. I think this time of year around, I've always touched upon, is finding that wing back system. It works. Matt Ritchie looks solid there. Question mark around the right wing back. You might have a bit of joy there because it seems to be a lot of teams are targeting the Yedlin/Manquillo, so I would say that. But
a positive result of the last weekend, though, last Friday at the King Power. You could say even somewhat of an upset. But it was a one goal in the end. Jose Perez starting to become a really key figure.
So we didn't expect nothing to get from there because Leicester's front five. Let's not forget they won 4 in a row. And they've changed the style under Brendan Rodgers, and they've got a bit of a kick. I think the fans played a key part in the result as well, because the fans were absolutely going wild, the shirts off, swinging out as you would think of Geordie's. It was like that. It was in party mode. A lot of people saying that was celebrated because of the fact we were safe. No, we're always like that for winning away from home. Burnley earlier on the season. It was just it was a very Rafa Benitez-esque kind of performance. He nicked the win. Even Gary Neville said it when we watched it back when we got back home. It was a fantastic win. It's up there for probably one of the wins of the season. Up there with Man City. I'll put it up there with.
And, we've seen that so many times this season as well. Such as Saints, we've done that now since Ralph's been here. Teams sitting back, actually readily being patient. Really happy to have the other team to have far more possession, both of which that we've exampled this year. Like, big example again at the weekend. We did that against Wolves, but you struck upon a fear there at right back, but what do you think it'll be this weekend? Would it be a really cagey affair, sort of a team that are both teams that don't want to lose?
Yeah, you probably just said it there. Probably both teams don't want to lose. The only problem that I've probably got is I don't want our season just to fizzle out now because we're safe, and there is a few players still have to play for their future. There's a lot of players who have still underperformed this year. There's a few who have been outstanding, fantastic, but if you said a draw, I think you would probably accept that. That almost guarantees your safety, whatever happens with Cardiff. I think with us, we want to go out and maybe take the foot off the gas in terms of sitting so back. Let's go for it now. We've got nothing to play for. I know that doesn't sound very, inspiring, but it's true. We're not going to get top 10. We're not going to be relegated now. Let's just go out and, we won 3-0 last year against you at home. But this time around, I want to say it's just try and attack us a little bit more and just enjoy the occasion now. Enjoy the rest of the season.
But your home form has really paid a significant contribution to your, I suppose, your surge in form this season, striking up the league. And you've only lost twice at home since the turn of the year. Once on the 2nd of January against, a revived sort of United side. But the second defeat was only a few weeks ago at Palace at home.
Yeah, I think they're winning the 5 in a row because our home form wasn't great at the start of the season. Yes, the difficult fixtures didn't help with, but like I said earlier on, the wing-back system, just finding that formation, and then we just got that monkey off the back and got the first win. Then we went on that run. I think, again, Sean Longstaff, he'll probably be playing for England the next 18 months. I'm going to go out and say there, England got a lot of youth talent coming through. Talking Declan Rice is another one who wants to have that holding role. Longstaff could be one for the future. So there's a few key reasons why, but I think the home crowd is different to an away crowd of us. The away crowd is a totally different level. The home crowd is fairly quiet. You've only got one section that sings. I think having the whole stadium or the whole fans singing is a total different mindset for players as well. And I think players do fear if things are going bad at Newcastle like they were earlier on the season. That affects the mentality. Jamal Lascelles has come out and said that. He doesn't like to see the own fans, own players getting booed. And I think it was just a Man City win just changed that, and it was more the stadium getting involved. It's strange because you shouldn't rely on your fans to help push you over the line, but Newcastle, that's saying that it's your 12th man. In one aspect, it is majority of the time at home, because when you talk to a neutral fan, you think, St James Park, you think it's great, it's loud. It's not all the time. It's not. It's mostly the away game. So if we can bring that every home game, it'll be a fortress.
Well, it's a proper football cliche, isn't it? The 12th man in the stand. But, I mean, you suppose you've teased it again just a moment ago. The defeat that we had up there last season, it was the straw that broke the camel's back that really sent Pellegrino packing. But that was probably the worst 30 minutes of football that I've ever witnessed, following Southampton. And we believe it's going to be far and beyond that performance this time round. And what have you made of Saints since the turn of the year, since Ralph Hasenhuttl has been in charge? What are you, I suppose, fearing the most?
Well, I never rated Mark Hughes ever. Never have. I even said that to you on your channel as well. Never rate him wherever he's been. I think it was the right call to get rid of him. He should never be allowed a Premier League job ever again. Same as Steve McLaren. The two of them can go in the Championship and rot there, as far as I'm concerned. I'll be honest, I didn't know him. When Hasenhuttl, I can't even pronounce his name. When he came in, I didn't know nothing about him. Probably a lot of Southampton fans didn't. So we probably Google him, doing the Wikipedia, all of that. But I tell you what I do like about him. He's a very Klopp, and he's been compared to Klopp. He goes wild on the touchline. Rafa Benitez is quite reserved, whereas he's very passionate. I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. And you know what? I could see him like arguing with another manager in the future, running on the pitch and all this. I could see that. He's got that kind of fiery character in him, and I like that. And obviously, I don't know because I don't watch that happen week in, week out. But that's the thing I like about it. And he seems to be Nathan Redmond seems to be coming back in form as well, because he wasn't great earlier on the season. So that's what I like about him. But I can't really say too much has happened because I don't watch them week in, week out.
Yeah, that's fair enough then. So wrap us up then with your score prediction, and Lee. It's a game that neither of us want to lose.
I think it'll be a score draw. I'm going to go 2-2.
All right, well, there you go. Lee, just remind our viewers, listeners, where we can find you and the rest of the Newcastle Fans TV gang.
Yeah, you've just said it there, Newcastle Fans TV. Pop over. Freddie will be on there as well on our channel for the week.
Excellent stuff. Good to speak to you, mate.
Cheers, man.
Thanks again then to Lee from Newcastle Fans TV. Do check out their channels for all of your Newcastle match content, and where I also appear for the opposite preview show. So certainly one to check out there. But that does wrap up this weekend's match build-up show for Newcastle versus Southampton. Of course, Saints back in action on Tuesday for the rearranged Watford fixture. So do check back around Sunday, Monday for that build-up show. Depends how quick I can edit it. But we've also got a special bonus episode coming up in a few days' time, where we speak to club legend Francis Benali ahead of his third Ultra Endurance Challenge. This time it's Iron Fran. But for now, enjoy your weekend, your bank holiday weekend in the UK. It is set to be a scorcher. Hopefully we can kick it off with 3 points from St James's Park. But for now, thank you very much for watching and listening along. Only one thing left for me to say is, come on, you Saints.